What is a layout study and why do certain layered techniques work on a scrapbook layout? Let's talk about it next on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. Welcome back to the Victoria Marie YouTube channel, where I feature all things scrapbooking and crafting. If that's something you enjoy, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and when you do, click the bell. That way you'll be notified each and every time a new video is posted. So today starts off a new series here on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel that's all about scrapbook layering. Out of all the questions that I get about scrapbooking techniques, layering is right there on top of the list. So I thought, why not do a series where I'm addressing some of your questions and pitfalls and struggles when it comes to layering on a scrapbook design. Now, I kind of have a reputation for doing a lot of layering on my scrapbook pages, and over the years I have learned a lot of different skills, tools, and techniques to make really high impact layered designs, and I'm going to share those things with you over the next few weeks. So if you have any specific questions, make sure you post them down in the comment section below, and perhaps I will address that in an upcoming video. So in this video, we're going to talk about layout study, and what I mean by that is taking a time to really look at and examine a layout composition. And I like to do this particularly when I'm trying to learn a new technique or trying to refine or master my skills. And the same can be true for learning layering composition. So we're going to look at 4 layouts, and I've selected these from layouts that I've done recently, and I'm going to tell you why those specific designs work and kind of point out some layering techniques that you can try today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So let's take a look at 4 layouts and talk about why the layering techniques on these particular layouts work. First up is layout number 1, and this is called Happy and Gray. This is an 8.5 by 11 inch layout, and this layout is actually featured as a process video here on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. To begin, this layout started with a layered background, and I just have some pattern paper, beautiful colorful pattern paper, and I created this torn look using a coordinating piece of yellow pattern paper to kind of get this nice little layered torn effect. Now, as far as embellishments are concerned, I wanted a diagonal presentation. And what that does is when you layer elements in a diagonal presentation, it centers your photo. So when you look at the layout, your eyes go directly to the photo. Now, the layered composition works for these embellishments because I'm using similar elements in each cluster. I also started with a larger element and I built up from there using smaller elements to accent the layered clusters. Now, one of the things you want to keep in mind is if you want to make your layered composition high impact, then you want to use elements with different size, scale, and texture, and that's going to add a ton of interest to your layered scrapbook design. All of those come together, framing out the photo, and of course in that diagonal positioning gives the eye a natural place to land from left to right on the layout. Layout number 2 is called Journey, Let's Go. This is a 12 by 12 inch layout, and I love this composition because it's traditionally how you would see layering. And by that I mean there are 3 points of interest, all positioned sort of in a visual triangle, starting with the title, then the photos, then the small cluster. That all frames out the layout and it gives your eye a natural place to land. So let's start with this top cluster. Now this is serving double duty because it has the title as well as some layered embellishments. The banner is the anchor, and then I layered on top of the banner a puffy sticker that says Journey, a cardstock sticker that says Let's Go, and then a chipboard airplane. Now I do have an arrow that's pointing to the direction of the photos, and that's done purposely because that's going to move the eye over to the photos, which if you notice, not only do we have layered clustering going on, but those layered clusters serve as a photo mat of sorts for the photos. I have different size elements at play, different textures with die cuts, chipboard, as well as puffy stickers. And then of course I repeat that arrow directionality there again at the bottom of the layout to that smaller cluster. Notice each of these clusters are different size. So the journaling cluster is the medium-sized cluster. The photo cluster is your larger cluster, and then the bottom cluster is a little bit smaller. And what that does is it gives you a nice balanced composition and a really great place for your eye to land, and it's not overwhelming. The third layout is called She Calls Me Momski, and this is a 12 by 12 inch layout. Now the fun thing about this is there's a few things going on. You have some really beautiful layering going on the right hand side of the layout, and then a smaller cluster that's a complementary cluster on the left hand side. And what that does is it draws your eye from left to right, or maybe right to left on the composition. Now this design works because here on the right hand side all the elements are balanced. They're pretty much the same size with those cute little fabric pockets. Each pocket is layered with similar elements. So you got the floral elements, a chipboard, as well as some die cuts, both cardstock die cuts and some chipboard die cuts. And those all work together, even though they're not identically exactly the same. They all work together because they coordinate and they feature beautiful layering. Now, to balance that out, I went ahead and shifted over to the photo on the bottom left of that photo, and I created another embellishment cluster, only this time I scaled it down. And what that does is it gives me a balanced composition and doesn't overwhelm the layout, because there's a ton of layering that's going on the right hand side. And so that gives you a nice little visual triangle between the pockets, that small cluster, as well as the title in the journaling. So again, similar colors, similar styles, varying the height and dimension and scale of those elements to create a beautiful layered composition. Our last layout is called Squeeze the Day, and I love this layout because this is an example of balance, but it's asymmetrical. On the bottom half of the layout, the 2/3 of the layout, you've got this beautiful layered composition with the photos, that large statement title that says Squeeze the Day, as well as some layered clusters. But it's balanced by a smaller cluster at the top, and this is what's referred to as asymmetrical, where you have a larger element that is balancing out a smaller element and vice versa. So here we have this really cool element, and I just want to point out that that chipboard piece there with the doily, that was designed like that. So all I had to do was just add in just a few extras to kind of round out that cluster, which includes a border that I punched out using a border punch, as well as a die cut butterfly. And then down at the bottom, again, I have that chipboard piece there to the left hand side that's already designed that way. So all I had to do was add a nice little complementary butterfly to that, a couple little chipboard pieces, a flat back brad, and that was good to go. And the same on the right hand side, I added another butterfly and a flat back brad to go with that beautiful layered pre-designed die cut. So there's a ton of interest going on at the bottom 2/3 of the layout, but that's balanced by the smaller layer cluster there at the top. And that's what's giving me a really gorgeous asymmetrical composition that not only works, but it's really balanced. So that completes our quick layout study. I highly recommend that you take some time out to do a layout study, whether it's with your own layouts or studying the work of another designer or fellow scrapbooker that you admire and enjoy. One of the things that you can get out of a layout study is understanding how the layout is composed, the different elements that make the layout high impact, and taking note of some of the techniques that you can use on your next layered scrapbook project. To see still photos of the projects featured in this video, along with some more information about layout study, make sure you head on over to the Victoria Marie blog. And as always, thanks so much for joining me, and look for more videos to come in our Scrapbook Layering Series. Again, if you have any questions, make sure you post them in the comment section. And if you're not subscribed, don't forget to do so. Click the bell, that way you'll be notified each and every time a new video is posted. I'll see you in the next one.